What's up, Trojans? I know this video is coming out a little bit later, so this is meant to be a preview of the 49ers game, but to look forward, I really have to look back at the Eagles game to see where the state of the team is, and I have to look back on the Eagles game anyway. It was huge. In my last video, I said it was a must-win, and I believe it was, and the Giants didn't win it, so I have to take playoffs out of the question now. I think the best case scenario for this team is that 6-10 2020 season where they were so close to making the playoffs if the Eagles didn't give up at the last second. It's crazy. That season feels very similar to this one already because in that season, if Evan Ingram catches one pass, the Giants would be in the playoffs because they would have beat the Eagles. So it's just crazy how these things turn out, and you can look back on multiple games this year already. The Dallas game, I don't want to count that one, though, because if they won that, Dart might not have come in. So the Saints game, 5 turnovers, inexcusable. The Broncos game, need I say more, inexcusable. So, then you come into this one, and it's like, okay, well, the Giants had beat the Eagles before. The Broncos game was just a huge fluke, really. Same thing with the Saints game, in my opinion, so they can be competitive against the Eagles. And right away, that did not look like the case. The Eagles came out, got a nice, quick, easy touchdown. Then Dart just couldn't get anything moving on offense, so give the ball right back to the Eagles. And we stopped them to a long field goal. Now, this is kind of where the refereeing really starts to rear its ugly head because I thought they were doing an okay job up to this point, and up until the fateful tush push, they were really doing all right. There was a phantom whistle on the field goal kick. I did not hear this when I was watching the game, so I was very confused why Sirianni was just yelling at the refs for no reason. There was a whistle and no call, but it was after the ball was snapped and everything. So I get the idea that the ref blowing the whistle may have messed the kick up in some way, shape, or form. I'm here for that. That's very likely. But if nothing gets called on it, like, what can you really do? He missed the kick. Close, it doinked. So the Giants got the ball back and were able to score a touchdown. Game 7-7. The Eagles start driving again. There's a controversial personal foul flag thrown on Brian Burns when he hits Jalen Hurts as he's going out of bounds. I agree with them picking up the flag. Burns hit him as he was still in bounds. And honestly, we have to be able to hit these guys. You make yourself a runner. You run in a way where you're trying to hit the first down. And he has to be able to make that hit. Him being able to make that hit is what makes it a fourth down because they end up spying the ball behind the line. It was very close. You probably could have put it in a bunch of places there because as the guy goes out of bounds, I always find it weird exactly when they count it out of bounds. Some weird stuff goes into that, so I could have seen the call either way. It looked kind of short. They marked it short. All right. So then the Eagles line up to do the big old tush push. And they get it with ease, especially with the second push. He's like 2 yards over the line, realistically. But he goes to one last reach forward to make it a full 2 yards over the line instead of like 1 or 1.5. Kayvon knocks the ball out, really just rips it out. Again, I've said this before, like when it happened to Daniel Jones. I'm shocked that doesn't happen more in the NFL, just some guy grabbing the ball right out of someone else's hand. I feel like the main thing they do is like punch it out or hit it out or like just grab the guy to tackle him in a weird way where it goes flying. I'm shocked you don't see that more where it's just whoop, just right out into the guy's hands and he starts running. Be a lot cleaner. Maybe it's more precise or something. I'm not sure. But Kayvon makes a great play on this, grabs the ball, rolls out of the pile, and shows clean recovery of it. And the ref blows the whistle as this happens. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're marking him down. That makes sense. We have the ball. And then all of a sudden, they're just like, no, the Eagles have a first down. I'm like, what do you mean the Eagles have the first down? The whistle was blown well after he had the ball. It was blown when he's on the ground. So you can even review this. You could say he didn't have like the best control ever, but he had clear control. He hits the ground, and it's obvious the ground is what knocks the ball out because he's just excited and freaking out. But then he realizes, oh, crap, if they don't look at this correctly, the ball might still be in play. So he goes to grab it again. He does. Deonte Banks is doing stuff on this play too, whatever. But anyway, this is a clean fumble recovery from Kayvon Thibodeaux. And the refs are just like, no, we say we blew the whistle before all that. So, yeah, his forward progress was stopped. Like, what? His forward progress was nowhere near stopped. How many times have we seen a tush push or a million other plays in the NFL where the guy's forward progress is, like, basically stopped, but the refs let the play go on for, like, 5 more seconds because they see more guys pushing. They're like, okay, well, if the pile moves, we got to let the play go on a little bit longer. And then if the pile doesn't move, they blow it dead. And there was a Broncos-Dallas game, I think just this year, where a very similar thing happened. It was on the goal line, but a very similar thing happened where the guys are rushing, they all get in a big pile, and the pile stopped. And it stopped for like a good minute. Like the refs wait a good solid second, and then they blow the play dead, and then the pile moves into the end zone. It's like, okay, yeah, they blew the play dead, so the defense stopped, and then it moved in the end zone. They didn't have to do some insane thing where they're like, no, we say we blew the whistle before we did because we're making things up. And this is where you get into serious allegations of the NFL being rigged, because it is so obvious that ref saw that Kayvon grab the ball and immediately started blowing that whistle. He's like, oh, he's got the ball. Let me run out there and start blowing the whistle. They don't even let the Giants challenge the play because they're like, oh, yeah, we ruled that forward progress is stopped and you can't challenge that. How can you not challenge that? Like, I don't understand in the NFL why they don't just make the correct call. There's all these cameras. There's all this technology into it. Everyone's watching. We're all watching as fans. Reps from the NFL are watching. There's just so many people watching this. New York supposedly is supposed to be able to call in to near anything and do an expedited review. You see this all the time where the refs make a call on the field and they line up, and without even a challenge flag being thrown, they're like, hang on, this play's under review. Even if it was challengeable, not in the final 2 minutes. Sometimes New York just calls in on these plays like, hang on, it needs a second look. How come that didn't happen on this? I mean, that's a huge play right there. Game-changing, really. I know the Eagles looked really good to start this game, but then they missed the field goal, and then that happens, and the Giants are really back into this. 7-7, Giants would have the ball. Even if it is on their own 20, that's not horrible field position. It's not like their own 1 or something. Absolutely disgraceful that happened. Really no excuse for the refs. Kayvon said best. He just said it was bullshit, and he's probably going to get fined for that. But and that's another thing that's crazy. Dable is livid on the field, yelling at the refs, saying all this stuff, which I guess you're allowed to do that, but then the press conference after the game, you have to act all nice and polite about it. Like, oh, yeah, well, they make the calls they make, and not much I can do about it. Like, what? Can't we, sue the league or something? I just don't understand how it's like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. It all falls on Goodell, really. And I'm stuck on this play because it's just so huge. It's like the most obvious thing ever. There's other moments in the game where the refs just make these horrible, inexcusable calls, but this is just the most obvious one. Goodell could easily change this as the commissioner. And it's like, why not? Like, why doesn't someone just say, no, there was a call that was missed, and we have to adjust that? Why isn't there someone with the authority to just do that? Like, hey, whoa, this was missed. It's clear cut. It's not some ticky-tacky thing, right? Like, there's pass interference penalties and stuff like that. There's obvious things. And even pass interference penalties, there's obvious things. The Saints-Rams playoffs game, yeah, that should have been called. It was the most obvious pass interference possible. The guy's going to the ground by the time the ball gets there from being tackled while the ball's in the air. Yeah, that should have been a penalty. Why wasn't it called? I actually heard I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, if it was confirmed or what, but I heard that the ref was literally a Rams fan. You're just like, what? If that's true, aren't these guys vetted at all? What are we doing with these guys? Another thing I've heard all the time is, like, the refs aren't paid that much. They're basically doing it as, like, volunteer money. I highly doubt that's the case. Pretty sure they're paid fairly well for only have to work the amount of time that they have to work. So I'm for doing full-time refs. I think that would be necessary for the NFL, but it just comes down to Goodell, because these are things he can do. He could do full-time refs. He could start punishing refs for making bad calls. He can fire people on the spot. Like, you can do things. You you could just do so much. Like, if you run a company and HR is constantly, like, writing people up and getting in the way of your best employees from doing their job, closing deals, and making the company money, would you not say something to your HR department? You would just let them keep doing that? You would just let them, waste days of work for several employees and just get in the way of the company actually doing what they're going to do? Or would you start escalating a process where it's like, hey, okay, what's going on here? Can we not do this? Okay, if they freak out, then you start firing them. Like, should be easy enough. Okay, refs, we're going to do this thing where we, correct your calls. Sound good? If they start freaking out, fire them. This shouldn't be that difficult. But for the NFL, it is. And with that Saints-Rams playoff example, the league's response to that was, okay, yes, we're going to have the owners vote to have a new rule where you can challenge pass interference calls. And that's actually a pretty good rule because they're insanely influential penalties on the game, and they need to be ruled and enforced correctly. So they're like, hey, yeah, coaches can challenge these at any point in the game, and it's just another challengeable play. Same thing for expedited reviews from New York and the like. Only 4 of 32, I believe was the number, actually got changed when they did it that year. And so many people would be like, see, it was pointless. And yeah, maybe it was really dumb, the fact that there were so many challenge flags thrown for it that didn't go through, to a point where, coaches are just like, ooh, should I do it? And not doing it, even though it might have been clear and obvious. But in my opinion, that's 4 plays that were then called correctly. And I heard the other reason this didn't go through is because the refs just refused to call them. The refs would look at it and go, yeah, no, not enough. It's good here. Because the refs control the reviews, too. It's not like, hey, I want a review, and it goes to someone else to review it. It's like, I want a review, and the guy that made the call on the field is like, yeah, let me check my work. Yeah, my work's good. I don't see anything wrong here. Like, absolutely ridiculous. So, obviously, they got rid of that rule, and then we just keep on keeping on, I guess. We just forget that there's an issue with the refs in the NFL, and the commissioner's not going to do anything about it. And a lot of people seem to go directly for the idea of it being the gambling element. Maybe. But if it's the gambling element, wouldn't there be more interesting things to take in terms of bets than the spread or the Eagles and Chiefs winning all the time? Because that's just so obvious. And, everyone for the longest time is like, oh, yeah, it's always like the good teams that get the calls, right? Wouldn't there be better ways to do this? Because we don't ever look at this and notice that a team starts getting all these good calls and then becomes good because they get all the good calls. The teams are good, and then they get all the calls anyway to stay good longer. That's what everyone notices as fans. Like, that's like the Chiefs, right? That's everyone said the Packers got all the calls for the longest time. I feel like Dallas and the Eagles get all the calls all the time against the Giants. Washington, honestly, doesn't get calls against the Giants. Washington fans will say Giants get calls against them to keep beating them more. I haven't seen it, but anyway, it's just weird that the trend goes that way and not, yeah, we're going to penalize, I don't even want to say the Giants. We're going to penalize the worst team in the NFL right now. What would that be, the Titans or the Jets? All the way to a Super Bowl at the last second. Or are they just like, oh, yeah, that wouldn't be believable, even though the odds would be insane? Like, if you're looking to make money, that's how you would make money. It seems weird that someone would, like, moneyline the Eagles and be like, yeah, let me rig that. I mean, maybe they would, right? They'd be like, oh, yeah, because it'd be less obvious. But it's not less obvious if the refs make these blatantly bad calls, and then the entire internet is like, well, it's obviously because of online gambling. Just a bad move. All right, so after that call, the Eagles obviously get a touchdown, and the Giants are down 14-7. And the Giants really have a hard time coming back after this. The defense falls apart. Shane Bowen should have been fired after the Broncos game, so obviously he still needs to be fired. Deonte Banks should have been cut after the Broncos game, so obviously, in my opinion, he still needs to be cut. Just not a good corner. The effort isn't there, and a guy who I did see putting in the effort, but obviously just isn't some elite NFL corner, is, I believe, it's Corey Black, the guy that got elevated from the practice squad due to the injuries in the secondary. He was trying. He obviously had a big catch caught over him by the Eagles wide receiver Dotson. But he was really trying on that play. Dotson had to try really hard on that play, and Corey Black was trying really hard on that play. Just the Eagles player made a better play. You can't fault the effort, though. If I can see effort, I'm just like, yeah, that's, injuries and it was next man up. But obviously, you're talking about the Eagles starting wide receiver versus our backup corner. These things happen. It's just very annoying to see the first round pick just have all these passes go around him and through him and just like not able to interact in any meaningful way with being a corner. So, and we come to some other point in the game where the Eagles just really start taking off. But the Eagles are driving. They go all the way down. And the tackle, Mailata, has a clear false start. Moves the full leg back. And then, quickly goes back to being set. And Kayvon Thibodeau, seeing that, jumps and then jumps back. And I'm like, yeah, obviously they're going to call a false start. That'll move them back. And that should give the defense, I believe that was a third down even, so that should give the defense an opportunity to go off the field here. Well, instead, they call offsides on Kayvon because reasons. And I always find this insane where it's not like one guy just makes the call, runs out, and calls it. The refs get together and confer. What are they confirming? Are they just going like, yeah, what'd you see? Oh, I saw Kayvon move. They're like, well, I saw Kayvon move too, but did someone else move first? Like, are they even asking that? Or are they just like, well, I saw Kayvon move? Well, I mean, we are trying to help the Eagles out this game, right? Yeah, obviously. So, yeah, Kayvon moved. Okay, cool. Let's get the Eagles this touchdown. Absolutely ridiculous. So the Eagles, go up another score when, again, the defense for the Giants sucks, but not that bad. This would have been, what would it have been? Likely I think this could have been a 27-28 game, with the Eagles still winning if all the calls were made correctly. I don't think the Giants showed up and were the clean, better team in this game. I think the Eagles probably win either way. But I would have liked to see that game where the calls are made correctly. The other big one is, the Giants are down, I think, 13-31. And maybe even less. It might have been when it was only 24. Or maybe 28. I forget exactly how the score is, or all the scores played out. But the Giants are down, and on fourth down, they lob one up. Darius Slayton catches it on the run all the way down for a touchdown. And it feels like one of those things where it's like, if the Broncos can make a comeback against the Giants can make a comeback against the Eagles. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Let's have a high-scoring game. Let's really play this out. And the refs come in, they're like, nope, Darius Slayton clearly pushed off. And that's just ticky-tack. And I would say on Darius Slayton's side, it's ticky-tack. Like, you're really reaching on that. I'm not saying nothing's there. He didn't push off cleanly. He didn't, like, normally when you see a push-off that gets called, he pushes the defender back to get that separation. In this case, Darius Slayton's like kind of holding the guy back, and the defender's doing a lot of hand fighting with him. And it really feels like more of what happens is Slayton just goes to push the hands away to get the separation he needs to go full speed, because he's only going like 70, 80% speed at this point because he's hand fighting with the defender. You can't run as fast as possible if you're hand fighting with somebody. So he goes to do one last swipe away. It's not a push off, it's like a swipe, and gets that separation. But the reason this should not have been called at all, or there needs to be some new penalty where it's like offsetting offensive and defensive pass interference, just restart the play. If that penalty doesn't exist, I've never seen it called, so I'm not sure it exists. Maybe that, but the defender has a clean hold of Darius Slayton's jersey as he goes away. You can see it on the replay. He gets a fistful of, it's not the jersey, it's like the undershirt or maybe just the back after a long game. But you can see it like tail behind him. And it's just so obvious. Like, that would be defensive holding. But no, the refs don't call it. Again, the Eagles were probably the better team that day. I just wanted to see that game. Like, why did the refs have to get involved if the Eagles were already showing up and looking better? It just makes no sense to me. And so with this, I now have the task of previewing the 49ers. And the 49ers are a really good football team that haven't looked as good lately. Their defense is not looking good lately. And the offense, seems to be having some quarterback issues, but not too crazy. They've just kind of been swapping back and forth between Purdy and Jones due to injuries. So there might be a weakness there for the Giants defense to take advantage of. I don't know, though. We'd have to get the defensive line really going in at an elite level, and we just didn't see that against the Eagles last week. We didn't really see that against the Broncos either. I'm not saying they didn't make their plays. The Giants' defensive line is pretty good. Dexter Lawrence, is a guy that everyone freaks out about because he doesn't have like the 9 sacks right away that he had last season. He's getting pressures, and he's taking the entire focus of the offensive line. And Brian Burns is getting in there and lighting someone up every game, it feels like. Abdul Carter's a guy that I would really be focused on because he seems like a guy that should be set up to be making these big plays, and yet it's just pressure after pressure after pressure. He's not lighting up quarterbacks for the strip sack fumble that I want. Kayvon Thibodeau is getting a lot closer to doing that. He's a better run stuffer. He had the huge tush-push fumble recovery. And I feel like he's getting in there a lot more. Which is why it's so weird that Thibodeau was the guy everyone's like, oh yeah, so we're going to like trade him or get rid of him because we got Carter. When it feels like, no, Carter's helping Thibodeau be better. Maybe it's just a contract year. I'm not sure. But I want to keep Thibodeau around. He's playing very well. And it's not like he was bad any of the other years either. I thought he was really good in 2022 and 2023. I thought he had the down year last year. And I'm looking forward to having him back. I don't even think it is a contract year for him. I think because they extended the 5th-year option, it's not. So, yeah, he's just looking good for no reason right now, just for the love of the game. So I really like to see that. I don't think the 49ers are going to be where the defense shines. The secondary is still not looking too hot. I think Holland is set to come back, so, that should help out with safety. But Dane Belton was not doing a bad job. He definitely made a few key plays on defense when they were there to be made between the Broncos and Eagles games. So I don't think, that was a huge issue. We need, 3 new corners though. It's kind of crazy. We can probably keep Flott around, but Debo must not have been that bad if the downgrade is this serious. Definitely need another corner. I think the Giants should just be banned from drafting a corner in the draft, though. They're clearly not able to do it. I mean, name me the last good corner the Giants drafted in the draft. So someone will probably be like, no, this guy or that guy. What about that? But, okay, I'm not saying the Giants have never drafted a good corner, but, like, I don't think the Giants should be using that draft pick on a corner where they've had so many misses, and even when they get the hit, it's not like it's this elite level corner that sticks around and is remembered for generations. And the Giants can draft some of these other positions, and the guy's elite. We're able to draft linebackers, edge rushers, defensive ends, tackles. We're able to draft those positions very well. We're very hit and miss on offensive line, man. Pretty good at drafting quarterbacks, all things considered. Phillip Rivers, he was a good quarterback, and the Giants saw that and picked him up 4th overall. So, I mean, even there, looking good. And then, basically use that to get Eli Manning. So also really good there. Jackson Dart looks really good. Sims was a really good quarterback for the Giants. Yeah, you could say Dale Jones was a miss for the Giants, but, I mean, he's clearly a decent quarterback at least. So Giants are able to draft quarterback. Running back, pretty easy to draft, but hey, Giants seem to be pretty good at that too. There's just these positions the Giants can draft. Safety, pretty good consistently. Landon Collins, Xavier McKinney. I'd like to see more from Newbin, but those other 2 guys I named, pretty good safeties. So I think just corner, not it. Get him from free agency or throw late round flyers at him in the draft like we did for Flott being a 4th round pick. Otherwise, I just don't think it's worth it at corner for the Giants. But on the offensive side, looking at the 49ers again, I think this could be a huge game for the offense. Losing Scatterboo is rough, and I've gone back and forth on whether that was a hip drop tackle. I don't think it was a clean hip drop tackle, so I see why it wasn't called. It definitely had the hallmarks of a hip drop tackle. If they called it, I would have been like, yeah, that looks like a hip drop tackle. But them not calling it also kind of makes sense because it wasn't a clean hip drop tackle. So it just sucks that happened, and it's a bad injury too. So I hope he's able to recover from that. It did not look good. The way that he had to be carted out and he had the full boot on right away. Thankfully, I was not subjected to seeing the ankle snap, but I've seen it before. It does not look pretty, so I don't need to go back and look up that for Scatterboo. But the point of this is Scatterboo will be missed. And Tracy, in my opinion, is not that much of a drop-off. I think Tracy is a very competent running back. We saw it last year, and seen it a bit this year, too. He was pretty good against the Broncos, and he was good in the second half of the Eagles game. You could argue the Eagles were playing, deeper, not focusing as much on the run, but I thought he was pretty good. So I think he'll have a good performance against the 49ers, and I'll be interested to see if the Giants try to adjust a little bit, not having Scatterboo in there. It's not like they were rushing him a ton anyway. It's not like he was getting, 5-6 rushes a drive even. They were rushing him every now and then as it seemed necessary. It seems like the main thing the Giants either do or don't do is run a lot of tight ends or run more wide receivers. I feel like that's the one thing that gets split on a week-to-week basis that I haven't quite been able to track. The running game, the amount of rushes they do per game seems fairly consistent to me, and it seems like the only thing that messes with that is game flow. So if the Giants have to pass more, obviously they pass more. If they have to run more because they're up, they'll run a little bit more. I'm not seeing a clear trend with, we're going in this week just running nonstop. The only thing I kind of notice is whether they'll go with more tight ends or more wide receivers. I think this should be a week where they try to lean on the wide receivers a little bit more. I feel like they've been trying to get Bellinger and Johnson involved a lot more, oftentimes to the detriment in the case of Theo Johnson. I just don't think he's consistent enough of a pass catcher to warrant some of the ways they try to use him. Just way too many drops. So it's a shame that Bellinger might still be out. He had the neck injury, and as we've seen with Daniel Jones, that's not something to play with. So I'm hoping they kind of just don't bring him back in this week for his health. If he's 100% good to go, then sure. I think he's the better tight end. So I'd love to see him in there, but if he's not 100%, I don't want him in there. And then I would just rather the Giants lean on guys like Wan'Dale Robinson. And Slayton, I don't think had a bad performance. I mean, he was able to get away and catch that deep pass for a touchdown. That's what that play was. So he's pretty good, just not great, obviously. I don't trust him to make these insanely contested catches. He did have like one of those in the Eagles game where it was a contested catch that he just didn't get. So we really need Malik Neighbors back. But Wan'Dale has proven himself to be a very competent wide receiver. Obviously, I don't like seeing him play the role of number one wide receiver, but he's an elite wide receiver too, in my opinion, at this point. And putting him in the wide receiver one role has proven that to me. So I'm hoping he can have a huge game. And then let's get some of these other guys we have on the roster involved. Collins, Humphrey. I want to see what they can do. And with Scadaboo out, there's an opening for a third running back. Turbo Miller did a lot in the preseason. So let's get him in. Otherwise, Singletary, he's a competent running back. He might be getting a little bit older. The Giants really have not used him that much this year. Even when they've been trying to let Scadaboo rest for a full drive. So I think there's an opening for that clear backup running back role, and someone could be coming off the practice squad to fill that. But I think Tracy will have a big game, and I'm hoping Wan'Dale has a huge game. And some of these other wide receivers I'd like to see really make an impact in one way, shape, or form. I want to see the offense perform. I'd like to see a shootout. Whether or not the Giants win at this point is kind of irrelevant to the overall season because I'm ruling out playoffs now. I just want to see that offense perform. It's been great seeing how Jackson Dart's able to come in and consistently put up points every week. He still has things to work on if I'm analyzing his performance with the Eagles. I don't know, like a B. He wasn't that good this week. I thought he was like A- with every single point coming off from that interception against the Broncos. Otherwise, he was elite. I think kind of the same thing with like something like the Saints game. You just can't be turning the ball over in that way. Like, if you're going to turn the ball over, make it a Hail Mary interception. Like the 2 interceptions he threw, which game would that have been? I'm trying to piece it together. He threw like 2 bad interceptions in one game. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was. Maybe it was also the Saints game. It was the fumble that was inexcusable, but his interceptions were somewhat reasonable. Yeah, no, that is the game I was thinking of. My bad. Yeah, the Saints game, his interceptions were pretty reasonable. Just got to clean up the turnovers, and he did that against the Eagles. But an issue that he had against the Chargers kind of came back up against the Eagles, in my opinion, where he's just holding on the ball too long. I'd like to see a clean, consistent performance from Dart, like a perfect passer rating game, and this could be a chance to do that against the 49ers. I guess he had that Eagles game. He was really good in that first Eagles game, so another one of those. I just want to see more of those from Dart. You get to a point where you start to grade a guy. This season is, at this point, is now really about evaluating Dart, and I've already had to, like, throw one score sheet away because I'm like, all right, he's past this. So, it's like I'm not giving him less than a B. He's too good for that. So, moving past that, it's like, all right, let's see how elite this guy is. Is he Aaron Rodgers good or, like, elite game manager good? So, looking forward to seeing what he can do against the 49ers. It'd be fun to get a win. Since the 49ers are another really good team that the Giants are up against and having the hardest schedule in the NFL. That's just unlucky. That, it feels like we finally get something together this season, and it's just the schedule that's standing in the way. All right. I've gone on for long enough on this, so I'll see you guys in the next one.